Hey, what's up, guys? MKBHD here. So I was on Twitter earlier, just scrolling, normal Twitter stuff, and I saw a tweet from fellow YouTuber Superstaff that really hit home, in this world that we're in. It said, you say something positive about a product, and there's comments asking, how much did they pay you? But if you say something negative about that product, they're asking, how much did their competitor pay you? Can't win. And so I chimed in, also, if you say nothing about a product, they're asking you, well, why are you ignoring it? Why do you hate them? And it's obviously all, poking fun, but there is a hint of truth in it. When you actually go through the YouTube comment section, which maybe you should never go through, but when you go through them on tech videos, you see that kind of stuff all the time. So let's talk, me and you, the commenters. Let's talk about the actual ethics of being a tech reviewer on YouTube. So the backdrop to all this isn't the early days of YouTube anymore. And there's always been, these much longer, more well-established industries that you can be a part of. You can work for the Times and the journals and the Posts and the CNETs of the world. But now there's a newer way to do it, and that's by being an independent individual publisher on any number of platforms. And one of the biggest happens to be by making videos here on YouTube. I actually remember not very long ago when it just wasn't like this at all. When I was in college, studying business and marketing, this wasn't even a real career path. There was maybe like a single-digit number of humans on planet Earth doing this for a living. So it was kind of like the Wild West, write your own rules, do what you want to do, but it's been slowly gaining respect and traction ever since then. But because it's independent, you kind of just are writing your own rules, doing what you think is right, hopefully. Well, most of the time. So in the United States, we do have what's called the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and they do have rules and structures and even a written set of guidelines for social media marketing. There's a whole PDF on their site you can read if you want to right now. I'll link it below. And most of their points are about disclosure so that customers know when they're being advertised to. Can't be shady or tricky about it. Customers deserve to know when they're looking at paid advertising. And that's a good cause, right? That's a cause I can get behind. But I think a lot of us have noticed that these aren't really easily or well enforced. And a lot of these companies, if they didn't have to ever disclose that they were advertising, they never would, because they know nobody really likes advertising, and they would all try to deceive you into thinking that you're watching something organic when it's really a paid ad. Now, of course, that shouldn't happen, but this is an independent space, and a lot of people don't really play exactly by the rules that the FTC's made. Take this one, for example. Here's a post from a good friend, Zach, Jerry Rig Everything on YouTube, posted on Instagram with proper disclosure. Well done. Now here's I think clearly an ad for the same thing from someone maybe part of the same campaign, but no disclosure of any kind from Shaq. Now I love Shaq, but was that really? Are we supposed to believe that that's not an ad? From someone who we used to call the Big Diesel, are we supposed to believe that ad for an electric truck was really just your words? Seriously, it's pretty obvious not everyone's playing by the same rules, so we're still trying to figure out how this is supposed to be, how this should be done in 2020. And so I figured I should just tell you how I run things here on the MKBHD YouTube channel. Transparency. Actually, I had very recently Mr. Mobile on the Waveform podcast. Again, I'll link that episode below, where we talked about all of this tech YouTube ethics stuff in much greater detail. And I had him on because we line up on a lot of this ethics stuff. He has a great ethics page, but also at the end of his videos, he has this little section in his reviews where he says this.
Disclosure, this review was produced following 5 days with a set of 2020 Pixel Buds provided by Google. I don't do paid reviews, though. The company paid no compensation for this coverage and also didn't get an early look or any copy approval rights concerning it. That means Google is seeing this for the first time right alongside you.
And I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. And I'm watching this like, me too, of course. But the fact that he has to say that, I guess that means not everyone treats it the same way. Not everyone does it like that. So for me, for the MKBHD channel, you should know, 1, I have never and will never do paid reviews. And 2, I have never and will never give a manufacturer an early look at a review before it goes live. Every time you see a review, you're seeing it at the same time that manufacturer is seeing it too. And I also want to be very clear about what exactly is a review. I think that word review gets thrown out there a little more loosely in some places. So to me, a tech review is an evaluation of a product to figure out if you should buy it or not. So it'll have my experiences, my opinions, and my recommendations, and that's what makes an MKBHD review. So not every tech video is a review. A sponsored video will also never be a review. That would be more of like a product showcase, essentially. And it's funny, people love throwing out the word review. There will be like a day one hands-on or first impressions of something, like as soon as it comes out. And there's always a comment like, hey, nice review. That's not a review. There's actually a playlist specifically of all the reviews on the channel. And just for good measure, I almost always have the word review in the title of reviews as well. So if you're ever unsure if something is an MKBHD review or not, because it wasn't in the title and it's not in the reviews playlist, and I didn't say it was a review in the video, it's because it's not a review. Another hard line for my channel is there will never be a product review sponsored by the company that makes that product. Never. Just not a good fit for me. Now, that's not to say that no one can or should do this. In fact, there are plenty that do. Here's a good example. Peter McKinnon just reviewed the Canon R5, one of the earliest and best reviews of one of the most important new cameras. And he has Canon as a channel sponsor, but he's obviously super upfront about that in the beginning of the video, and he doesn't let it affect his review, and he goes through the whole thing. It's one of the best videos you should watch. So it can be done well. It's just, for me, in tech, that's a tough distinction to make, so that's not something that I'll do on this channel. Now, all that being said, that doesn't mean I'll never do anything sponsored. Of course, I've partnered with brands before, and these are a sort of a necessary thing, as I'll explain, but just business-wise, you'll never hear of a business relying entirely on like something like AdSense revenue as a variable. So to break it down, there are two ways that I work with companies. There are sponsored segments and collaborations with brands. So a sponsored message, it's pretty simple. You're probably familiar with it by now, where you'll hear something like, this video is sponsored by, or this portion of the video is brought to you by, or you can pick it up at our channel sponsor, Dbrand, something like that. That is a paid for message by a hand-selected sponsor who either makes something that I believe in or that I think is good. That will always be disclosed. And you might have actually seen recently, YouTube's decided in like the next month or so to automatically enable mid-rolls on all monetized videos over 8 minutes, and to just like try to decide where the mid-roll should go. You've seen those like mid-roll interruptions before. I don't like that very much. I don't enable mid-rolls on very many of my own 10-minute videos. So I do think the hand-selected sponsored message that you can integrate much more easily and much more seamlessly is a better way of doing that. So I don't typically have mid-rolls in my videos, and I'd rather go with the actual sponsored message. And then a brand collaboration is a little bit more nebulous. I'd classify it as anytime a video wouldn't be possible without the cooperation of some company. So whether it's a dope tech video on camera robots where the company that makes them invited us out to their studio in Portland, we fly out there, we play with those crazy machines for a day or two and record it, or when I got to sit down and talk tech in apparel with the legend Kobe Bryant, thanks to partnering with Nike on his new shoe launch, or even just a smartphone company sending a phone to the studio 2 weeks early for me to check it out and get some daily use in to make a launch day review. These are all kind of brand collaborations in some way to make those videos possible, but importantly, none of them are paid. But I actually think these can usually make some of the best videos just by enabling things that wouldn't be possible. Like, how else would a nervous college kid interview Kobe Bryant, or how else would I get, to interview people who are behind the scenes at making products, or to get a sneak peek in things that haven't come out yet. All this stuff usually makes like the more fun, interesting videos. It is my policy on this channel to keep those unpaid. Not everybody does that, and that's fine as long as those are disclosed, but now you know my policy on that too. I have done one fully sponsored entire video in the history of the channel. You probably remember the Buick video. I had never done a fully sponsored video before in over 11 years and over 1,000 videos. And we learned a lot from that experience and its pros and cons. I'm not against them, actually. I just think they are typically more difficult to execute well. So to go back to that SuperSaf tweet at the beginning, if I ever say something positive about a product in a video, it's because I genuinely think it's good. And if I say something bad about a product, it's because I genuinely think it's bad. I have absolutely no concern about my relationship with a company changing because of something I say in a review, because I plan on saying the truth every time. So if a company gets mad or doesn't want to send review devices anymore or invite me to events, whatever it is, because of what I said in a review, because of a truth that I spoke about their product, that actually looks worse on them. We are very fortunate as a channel not to be in a position where we rely on having to be first to make it worth making a video, typically, which basically means if there's a product that doesn't get sent to the studio for an advanced review, and this happens all the time, like there's products you guys ask about, I'm still trying to get my hands on, like Sony's Xperia 1 Mark II, Canon R5. Like if I don't get them early, I buy them and then I review them when they get here. One thing I do want to be more clear about is disclosing when a product being reviewed was provided by the company that makes it versus one that I purchased myself. It's a pretty healthy mix on the channel. A lot of people don't realize that, but I used to put that in the description of every review and then I'd stop for a while. I plan on bringing that back. So you can accuse me of being biased, sure. You know, all of us reviewers, we have our preferences, and basically you can calibrate yourself to all of our preferences. But what you can't accuse me of is being paid off for a positive review. Because at the end of the day, whether I say a positive or a negative thing about the product, that's just me keeping it real. Oh, and for the whole, like, if you say nothing, then people ask, well, why do you hate them so much and not talk about them? That whole thing, man, it's like, we have to pick and choose our battles over here, man. Like, I wish I could make a whole new video every single day, because sometimes there is that much to talk about. But it's a small team here. Actually, during the pandemic, it's kind of the solo mission, but it's a small team. We're based in the US, so typically I'm able to get my hands on products that are available here. And then generally I'm just hopping around focusing on things that I'm enthusiastic about. That's what makes the videos fun. That's what makes them interesting. And I think if I tried to review everything, that would kind of take away from that. So, can you trust MKBHD? Can you trust me? I hope so. But I believe it is an important question to ask, because you, at the end of the day, as a viewer, shouldn't get all of your tech advice from one person. I mean, think about it. It's a purchase decision. You should experiment with other opinions, and there's a variety of us out there, all of which have different preferences and different ethics stances. So as a viewer or that commenter on YouTube, you should be able to pick and choose. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because I think it's important for you to know as a viewer, and I work for you at the end of the day. I think the tweets and comments and stuff, like from the beginning of the video, generally just come from a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding, because this is so new and it has been the Wild West for so long. So hopefully this public-facing series of statements can help you understand that better and help build that trust more. So now you know how we run things here. But hey, if you still have questions, because at the end of the day, this is just me answering what I think you should know. But if you have other questions, hit me up in the comment section below. Ask me anything. Or I'm also going to be doing an AMA on Reddit starting today at, I think it's 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll leave a link below. Again, ask me anything. It's an open book. We can talk about it. And hopefully this lets you trust me a little more. Either way, that's been it. A little different video, but thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.